in providing the deterrence or the correction that was, hopefully gained by placing them there in the first place.
At age 16, McPherson returned home to Sydney and took up a labouring job on the Balmain docks. The docks were a hotbed of crime. World War II had begun, but as a dock worker, McPherson was exempt from military service, which left him free to continue in the criminal world. By the time he was 24, he had a substantial criminal record for minor offences. He was widely known to police.
Some prick gave me up.
Oh, is that what you reckon, Lenny? And here we are waiting for you to break in, just like clockwork you turn up. Or maybe we're just a bunch of very smart blokes.
There's nothing smart about you blokes.
Oh, you may very well say that. But seeing I've arrested you tonight, and oh, by the way, you are under arrest, Lenny, I'm thinking I'm looking a lot smarter than you.
Someone's brassing me.
Oh, you're getting smarter by the minute, Lenny. Now, I can't teach you the secret of everlasting youth. I can't teach you how to be a better bloke, but I can teach you how to stay out of jail. Well, if you want to really learn, that is.
How much do you want?
Money? He thinks we want his money. Now, how are you going to get money, then? You're the most dim-witted retard crook that I have ever met in all my years of being in the force.
Go to buggery.
Well, this is how it works, Lenny. You work for us, and we work for you. There's nothing wrong with a bit of pilfering. It's covered by insurance. No one gets hurt. Now, all you got to do is put someone in a frame for something tasty.
I'm not dogging for you.
Well, you had better start thinking about bail, because bet your life I'll be waiting in the next shithole you try to break into.
Wait.
Well, there you go. You're not as stupid as I thought you were. Let's go down to the station and we'll flick through a few mug shots while Constable Thompson here will brew us up a nice hot cup of tea.
I don't think I trust you blokes.
Oh, you will, Lenny. You will.
As a young man in his late teens and early 20s, Len McPherson was getting caught all the time. Mainly for traffic offences, stealing cars, break and enter. The police would know where to look if a car went missing. If a warehouse was broken into, they would come and look for Len McPherson. And that's because he hadn't realised how to play the game. After a while, the penny dropped. If I can dob in a mate, if I can inform on a bloke who was with me, or if I hear about a job, I go and tell the coppers, then they will let me off when I get involved in my own crimes.
So he went from one botched offence to another, until eventually people wouldn't work with him, because if he got caught, they got caught. And it may well be he decided that by giving people up, it allowed him to be part of the life that he led, but at the same time gave a major part of protection.
Ray Kelly was the most famous and feared police officer in Sydney. McPherson soon became his informant.
Well, we were always told that McPherson was a police informant, and from my own experience speaking to former detectives who are well and truly retired and deceased, they validated the fact that he regularly used to supply information to a former detective inspector, the late Ray Kelly. He developed McPherson as a very valued informant.
I can't teach you the secret of everlasting youth. I can't teach you how to be a better bloke, but I can teach you how to stay out of jail.
Lenny McPherson, of course, as time developed, he became close to Ray Kelly. And Ray Kelly, as I said, in my early days, he was the gun detective. Any Underworld murders that took place, Ray was in charge of investigations. We all looked up to Ray. He was a tough guy. He was known as Gunner Kelly. And I think he let a couple of shots go and killed one or two over the years. Ray Gunner Kelly and Len McPherson both rose to prominence, one as a police officer, the other as a criminal, at around the same time. And they both stayed top of the heap, really, for the next 25 years. But their relationship and the quality of the information that McPherson was able to provide Kelly made Kelly a hero within the police force. And in turn, the quid pro quo to that was, I will turn a blind eye to your many and manifest crimes, Len.
There's nothing wrong with a bit of pilfering. It's covered by insurance. No one gets hurt. Now all you gotta do is put someone in a frame for something tasty.
Becoming an informer was a dangerous move for McPherson. It would keep him out of jail, but if the criminal world found out, it could get him killed.
The rule of thumb, the highest rule of the con code was basically don't rat, don't inform, don't tell on. And so for McPherson to go and fly in the face of all the rules, he must have had a great deal of confidence that he wouldn't be going to jail over this, that it would never catch up with him, that there would never be a consequence to that behavior.
It wasn't just being an informant that McPherson had to hide for the whole of his life. After the break, we reveal he also had to hide the consequences of his fearsome temper.
What do you mean, special?
I was trying to do crackling the way you like it.
Bugger the crackling! I want my dinner, you stupid woman!
Welcome back to Tough Nuts, Australia's hardest criminals, and Lenny McPherson, the Mr. Big of Australian crime. At the end of the Second World War, McPherson was sent to jail for multiple stolen goods convictions. He was finally released from prison in September 1946. And at the same time, new forces arrived in Sydney. One new player, Frederick Anderson, wanted to be the top dog. McPherson was just another mid-level crook when they first met, but Anderson could see a ruthless streak in the big man. In the 1950s, Anderson took McPherson under his wing. The two men were keen observers of the American mafia. Anderson marveled at their power, and he knew that it came from establishing an organized structure. Journalist Bob Bottom is an anti-corruption fighter who has traced the origins of organized crime in Australia.
We in Sydney had in those days backstreet baccarat. That went out, in came shopfront casinos. We had laneway prostitution, and out that went and in came massage parlours. Out went the Friendly Fred running SP, from the local pub, and in came syndicated SP betting. They operated under protection, and the person since nominated as Mr. Big, Lenny McPherson, but more particularly above Lenny was one character who'd come through from the Razor Gang days, through the war years and everything, a man called Frederick Charles Paddles Anderson. If anyone could be nominated as a boss of bosses, he was it.
Frederick Paddles Anderson was the architect of organised crime in Australia. Anderson had looked at the structure of organised crime in the United States, essentially through the mafia, and believed that with some changes it could work here. The plan was to basically run everything, run every illicit racket, prostitution, gaming, sly grog, and bring it all under one organisation with one man at the top and a number of people running each of these rackets directly below them.
McPherson was becoming one of the most powerful men in the Sydney underworld, but at home, things were different. It's often said that McPherson used violence in a calculating way, always to advance his interests. But this was not the case.